Good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting, Tuesday, June 11th. I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll start with roll call on the left.
Kathy Mester-Harris.
Bart Haskell.
June Gagne.
Don Meyer.
Carla Stardens.
Dan Kevich.
Katie Field.
Ryan Wright.
Sherry Pollard.
Thank you. Determination of quorum. We do have a quorum. Frank Mills is not in attendance this evening, so I'll be appointing Kathy Mester-Harris to sit for Frank this evening. Starting with public hearing, item A, 24-3SPL of Alan Robert Carpenter, P.E., requesting permission to create a boarding house in an existing building at 261 Main Street, Moosup, Assessor's Map 2M, Block 107, Lot 16, C2 zoning district. Do we have someone speaking for the applicant?
We do.
Come on
Alan
up.
Carpenter.
Do you have the microphone for the public?
Get me up close and personal.
I was going to say, we can pull that back. We can pull that back.
Alan Carpenter, PE, CPH Consultant, LLC, representing the applicant. I have some plans and response letters from comments from Ryan from last month that I have 4 copies of the letter, including the original, and 4 copies of the comments. There you go.
So I understand you submitted these digitally today and that staff has not had opportunity to review.
Okay.
So it's up to board members if you want to review the plan tonight. No action can be taken. No staff comments were made. They were digitally given to staff today. So in either case, we would continue the public hearing, but the question is whether you want a preliminary presentation this evening. It's up to board members.
I have no objection to a presentation.
Okay. Proceed.
Yeah, we presented it preliminarily last month as well. The address is 261 Main Street, Moosup. 1.49 acre C2 piece of property, contains the existing home on the property. Lot 15 is also owned by the owner, United Social and Mental Health Service Resources, Inc. But the work that we're doing is concentrated on Lot 16, boundary of the property. We had a comment from Ryan regarding abutting zonings. We have the abutting zonings on the detail sheet. All the abutting zonings around here are R19, but they're shown on the detail sheet if you want to look at the abutting zonings there. We did have a request to modify the survey sheet to take the note off. Your sheet has the note off. We put a little more detail into the plan for this month that shows the proposed parking area. This is the existing house, correct? So that is shown on the drawing. We're proposing a seven lot parking lot just to the, is that north? I think it's maybe west. I don't know on there. Anyway, on the property entering from Milner Avenue, the existing garage and driveway will remain. We have proposed to grade the parking lot to go to stone trenches around the external area of the parking lot. We provided a calculation for the water quality discharge from this parking lot to them to contain the stormwater volume. We are proposing, at Ryan's request, a dumpster. So we located a dumpster on the plan, a concrete pad and wood enclosure for that dumpster. We're proposing sidewalk construction to provide for accessible, these 2 spaces here are handicap accessible, so to provide an accessible route from the parking lot to the building and around to the front of the building. The site, the building footprint, I think United Health provided the building footprint.
Yes.
I don't have a copy of that, but you guys will have that to review it. So they provided a footprint for the building. We did provide, we didn't do a lighting plan for this project yet, but we provided a note on the plan that the lighting provides security lighting for the parking lot while complying with dark sky lighting requirements. Yeah, again, we modified the stone trench calculation, have volume a third more than what's required for the water quality for that area. We also had a comment about adding landscaping around the parking area, so we provided 2 areas to be landscaped. We have not provided a landscape plan for that at this point, but United Health Services can provide that landscaping plan for you. The detail sheet has the zoning map, mine doesn't, but yours does. So it shows the surrounding zonings. That was one of the comments we got from mine. And we also added the detail for the dumpster enclosure that's down below the zoning map. So we made that revision from the last time we were here. With that, I mean, that is the project. It's a small addition of a parking area, a conversion of this building in a commercial zone to a boarding house for United Health Services. Any questions?
Yes. So this is 24/7 operation, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, on the parking, you indicate 5 residents and 2 employees. Is that 24/7, 5 residents always, 2 employees always?
I can't answer that question, but we can get the answer to that question, but I think it will.
We're here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, are they the applicants?
Sorry, I didn't notice. Yes, applicants.
So if you could come up, just state your name for the record, and we'll go through those questions.
I'm Diane Manning, President and CEO of United Social and Mental Health Services, Resources, and Services would be the service. So Resources is the owner.
Okay, so the question is, it's a 24/7 operation. So it indicates 5 residents and 2 employees for parking purposes, so is that the expectation of occupancy?
The occupancy would be a maximum of 16, and the staffing would be 2 per shift.
So a maximum of 16 residents.
We were expecting 12, but because we're not planning on doing the third floor right away.
Does that parking address 16 residents, Ryan?
I would have to check.
Okay, so we have to make sure that we are allowing parking for your maximum occupancy, not your minimum. So for next month, since this will likely be continued, we need to make sure that the parking addresses maximum occupancy, not minimum.
All right, so you want me to?
Yeah, please.
Gallahue Blevins, United Services.
Not everyone's going to have a car. So most of the population we work with don't have a car, similar to across the street at 249 Main Street.
So I'm not sure if the regulation addresses that, does it, Ryan?
No, the regulations have a parking calculation. I'll have to check and see.
Okay, so just be prepared to give the additional parking calculation for maximum occupancy, because we have to do what the regulations require. Even if there is a situational circumstance, we still have to do what regulation requires. So, okay. Now this is a public hearing, so if there's anybody in the audience with a comment or question on this application, this is your opportunity. And board members, if you have additional questions or comments on the application?
I have a question. Is there going to be any external lighting added, particularly around your sidewalk, your parking lot, any of your entrance and exits for safety or situational awareness?
We'll have lighting similar to what we have across the street, which is parking lot, and then just, we're expecting actually lower lighting around the walkway to the entrance, the handicapped entrance, but we're not planning on like highlights for that.
So what would the parking lot lights be? Just, I'm sorry, I'm curious.
There would be the down-facing lights just so that it's safe to move.
Off of the
parking.
building? I'm not familiar with the site.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's what we have now, and we're right across, we're the only really a butter that doesn't have trees and stuff in between us.
And I did note that you said you were missing the lighting plan, so that will be included for next month's presentation, the lighting plan with the, okay. So then you'll have those details so that we can,
Right, yeah, for this plan, we added a note that the lighting would be safety lighting, 2-foot candle minimum, and dark sky compliant.
okay.
So that plan, if we're bringing it back next
Yes.
month, will be made to comply with that.
Perfect.
Is this a conversion of a house into this boarding house and
No,
remodel?
the remodel is very light remodel. It's really just to separate. The house actually has bedrooms in the front and was servants area in the back. So the servants turned into staff.
Okay, paid staff, so paid service.
Right, so the bedrooms, bathrooms, are pretty much staying the way they are. We're taking out some closets.
There has to be a certain amount of bathrooms for each
There are,
person, square footage, living
yeah,
space.
we have to have a handicapped accessible bathroom, which it doesn't have, so we have to add that. But there will be 6 bathrooms.
Okay.
6 bathrooms, 6 beds. 6 bedrooms.
So addressing the parking, you said how many, the first 2 floors?
12.
Okay, so 12, so we'll have to make sure it complies with 12. We want to see a plan for the full 16, we can phase it so that you can move forward in the future with additional parking.
Any other comments or questions from board members? Any other comments or questions from the public? Okay, as we indicated, this plan needs to be reviewed by staff, so we cannot act on it, so I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing.
I'll make that motion to continue till July.
Motion by June to continue,
Second.
second by Bart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is continued. And that'll be the second Tuesday of July. I believe it's July 9th, is that right, Erin?
July.
Yes.
9th? Okay, thank you. Item B, 24-3TA, Town of Plainfield, requesting modifications to Section 14, non-conforming buildings, lots, and uses abandonment to allow for the replacement and modernization of legally conforming billboards that advertise to Interstate 395 to modern standards. Speaking for the applicant?
Good evening. I'll raise this a little.
Oh, I'm not sure how, but I believe it does.
I'll just try
At the
that.
bottom there.
I'm Brian Roser, I'm the real estate manager for Out Front. And this text amendment is being proposed by the town of Plainfield, but I think I was asked to speak on it because of my familiarity with the technology and the process of digital outdoor advertising.
Okay, continue.
Okay, so this text amendment concerns upgrades to non-conforming billboards, off-premise advertising structures. This text amendment is being proposed to allow for upgrades through a special permit process to legally non-conforming existing billboards that advertise exclusively to Interstate 395. This text amendment would allow for older, outdated billboards to be brought up to modern standards. In addition to the special permit requirement, the proposed text has controls for digital LED signs to limit brightness and distracting motions. Digital LED signs would also have to be constructed at least 400 feet away from any existing residence.
I'm asking you. You're presenting, so if that's all you have to
Would
present.
you like me to read the proposed amendment? Does everybody have a copy of that?
So board members have a copy, but for the public's,
I'm
I'll go
good.
ahead and read it.
Sure.
So the proposed text is to modify section 1.2 definitions. Text to be added is underlined, sign, advertising, billboard, a large outdoor sign used for off-site advertising that does not fall under the requirements of section 13.56.5 pylon signs. Add new section 14.1.6, replacement and modernization of legally non-conforming billboards along Interstate 395. Billboards that advertise to motorists traveling on Interstate 395 that are legally existing as of the date of this amendment may be replaced, upgraded, and modernized with special permit approval in accordance with the following provisions. 1. The faces of the billboard may be increased in size not to exceed 14 feet by 48 feet. 2. No more than 2 faces are to be displayed and must be directed exclusively to Interstate 395. The faces may be flush, back-to-back, or in a V formation, located on a single structure. 3, the overall height of the structure shall not exceed 50 feet above grade and shall not be closer than 30 feet to an adjacent property, excluding the 395 right-of-way. 4, digital electronic billboards are permitted provided they meet the following requirements. Brightness. During daylight hours between sunrise and sunset, luminance shall be no greater than 7,500 than 300 nits. 1 nit is equal to 1 candela per square meter. All electronic advertising signs shall be equipped with an automatic dimmer control or other mechanism that automatically controls the sign's brightness as provided above and must be maintained in proper working order. The text, image, or display on an electronic advertising sign may not change more than once every 8 seconds and must remain stationary for the duration of the advertisement. The sign must not be located closer than 400 feet to a residential dwelling at the time of construction. So that is the proposed text.
Okay. I think it's important to note that this concerns existing non-conforming billboards and also that existing non-conforming conforming billboards. And that's basically it. And I'm available for any questions from the commission or from the public.
Okay. Just a quick question. Because it is replacement of a current non-conforming billboard, what is the height and the square footage of the current billboard?
The current billboard is owned by the city of Plainfield. I have not measured the height or the square footage. Ryan, do you know the answer to that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is it safe to say it is less than what's proposed?
Yes.
Okay. So height-wise and square footage-wise, what's being proposed is larger than what exists.
What exists is an oddball size that was created specifically for that sign, back when signs were hand painted.
Yep.
That's no longer the case. Technology has changed.
Okay. So that sign was specifically created to advertise the industrial park. So this is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience with a comment or question on this application, this is your opportunity.
Do I have to say
Your name and your address, correct?
Rachel Harris, 94 Flat Rock 2.
And your comment or question.
I don't really think we need a billboard on one of the least traveled parts of 395. In either direction, you're coming from like trees on either side, and there's this big billboard coming out of nowhere, brightly lit. And I think there's also the factor of that we're in, I believe, the last green valley is what it is. Also, so that's kind of important as well. Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any other questions or comments from board members?
Chair, I have a question.
Yeah, Bart.
Yeah, seeing as this would be a text amendment for retrofit and upgrade of existing, potentially older signage, I'm curious, seeing as it's one that would cover any special permit, should we be considering security requirements with respect to upgrades, as these are newer structures, high voltage with respect to what they have? Do we need to consider fencing, gate guards, things that would guarantee the safety as they could be attractive nuisances to specific individuals?
That's a good question. I think, well, to start, I wanted to address an earlier comment that this sign that's existing was for the purpose of the industrial park. That may have been the copy that's there. I wanted to point out that it has a state off-premise advertising permit that's been active up until I think about last year. And to answer the question about the security measures, we do have a modem with electronics for loading on new copy, different things like that. There's security protocols in place for that. We have a centralized command in Spokane, Washington that handles a lot of that. We keep the facilities locked. We also have ladders that require an additional ladder for somebody traveling to the site to be able to access and climb up the side. It's not like somebody can walk up and immediately jump on the bottom rung of the ladder. So that's the type of security that we already have in place. I know that this is a limited access highway, so when we talk about this specific site with the existing billboard, it is on City of Plainfield site. I'm not sure what security against trespassers there is already, but there's no being that it's limited access, I believe there's a fence going from 395 to the site.
Yeah, I appreciate the technology, Dark, and I understand that from my background. I was more interested in the aspect that if these are older signages that we're considering allowing upgrades through a special permit, are there stipulations we should add to the text amendment to enforce certain on-site security standards with respect to non-authorized personnel being in and around the billboard? I was looking at it more from the danger perspective. If there's something we should be standardizing.
For the power upgrades, it's the same amount of power for a mid-sized home.
Okay.
So if we talk about voltage, it doesn't come readily to mind as a security concern to me.
Okay.
And that's just speaking for me. As far as the, everything is communicated remotely via cellular modem, like a cell phone, there's protocols in place for if that connection is disrupted, for example, it will continue to play a particular rotation without any interference as long as it is eliminated, as long as the power is line.
Okay, thank you.
Where's the power coming from?
That'll be hard power. There's no plan specifically right now.
It's near a cell phone tower.
It's on the same lot as the cell phone tower, and I believe there's a bus depot there.
Oh.
There's existing power that can be drawn from the site.
School bus.
Well, I think, and forgive me, Jim, I think what we're getting at though is we're not necessarily discussing the construction of a special permit. We're looking at the text amendment. And my question was geared toward if we're laying down guardrails for what we would want to see, are there security concerns that we should include in there for not just the current need, but any future? That was what I was.
We have about 50 digital billboards in the state of Connecticut, and I'm speaking for my company alone, and there's nothing that comes to mind
Okay.
that I would suggest the town proposes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And just remind the commission, this is proposed as a special permit. So if you have any concerns, should an application come forward, you can address them during the special permit process.
So tonight's application request is for the text amendment. So given the text that's presented, an additional special permit application would have to be presented to the board if the text is approved.
Absolutely.
So there would be a second part of the process.
I understand. It's like the corner in Central Village. There's a little sign there on the corner. But that would be a bad place as far as traffic.
Any other comments from board members? Any other comments from the public? Come on up.
Sean Peterson, another driver. I understand this is site-specific with the text. My question is this going to lead into future upgrades to the ones along Route 12? If we're allowing them to change 395, what's going to stop them to come and change all the ones on Route 12? There's quite a few of them, and they're really close to residents. The lights, it's probably a little bit of a pattern.
That would require a different text amendment.
But you're creating a slippery slope.
So just to address the point, this application is for a specific site along 395. However, it would not prevent any applicant from coming forward with their own proposal using this as their example. So it would require other applications. This is specific to 395. Any other comments or questions? Yep, Bart.
All right, Gary, I just want, I've been batting this around in my head for a while, for a couple of weeks, and I see this billboard in Norwich on the viaduct, and it, like that 8 seconds is a new ad, and it looks like any other billboard when you come up to it, you're like, oh, it changed, okay? So it's like any other billboard. And I wanted to add to Sean's comment, what's wrong with upgrading these billboards on Route 12? Like the one by the police station where the wrapping that they put on always flaps off in the breeze, and these people are going to want to upgrade these billboards, I would expect. I wouldn't say make an amendment to add any billboards to town, but these could be upgraded also. And electronic I see no problem with. And the other problem with these that are here, I think is that dark skylight, because it shines up on this billboard. And if you're worried about the Laskin Valley and all, I think the electronic is a lot better for that. That's all, than those bright lights shining up on the billboard. That's all.
Thank you.
Can I comment on that a little bit?
Sure.
I understand that this text amendment is limited to creating the mechanism for a qualified applicant to bring forth a special permit application, and it's not concerning specific application or applicants. But speaking on digital billboards in general versus static billboards, when we talk about modernization, I wish I had a piece of a digital billboard with me. It has light mover technology that prevents upglow. It's made out of cool LED lights as opposed to, say, halogen lights that simply have to pump out enough power to refract off of a vinyl substrate, which is what serves as the advertising space. So the self-dimmers actually keep the power usage relatively low for that reason. There is time clocks on the static billboard lights, but you're just pumping out the same amount of light. It's refracting, it's going everywhere. This is a very focused light element, and it's much more efficient.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public regarding this application? Any other questions from board members and staff? All right. Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by June to close the public hearing. Second by Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. Moving on to item C, 24-10SP, Fred Stavropoulos, requesting special permit for construction of an earth excavation on property located on 195 North Sterling Road, Assessor's Map 37, Block 113, Lot 3, RA60 zoning district. Actually, making sure that I'm sure.
Thank you once again for the record. Norm Tebow, Killing the Engineering Associates. I am here representing Mr. Stavropoulos this evening. What we have is a 15.9 acre parcel that has historically been utilized for earth excavation purposes. Probably for decades. I don't know exactly when it happened, but it's been there for quite some time. We are here before you for a renewal of the existing permit, and essentially the operation is, even though in area it's 15.9 acres, I guess seems rather large. Much of the gravel and sands that have already been taken from it throughout the years. What we're showing you here is one area in particular that we are going to be doing the bulk of the excavation on, and that would be this area sort of in the southwestern portion of the site. The remainder of it is kind of to get some final grading on the site, and we also have some corrective grading on the northern slope right now, which is kind of a vertical cut. This slope will be improved to a 2-to-1 slope. It'll be topsoiled and seeded accordingly. There are a couple of substantial piles of topsoil on the site itself that can be utilized for that. The total amount of material that we are proposing with this is about 220,000 yards. As I said, it is a rather a low-key operation, kind of an on-demand, and Mr. Stavropoulos does not actually do any of the excavation himself. There are machines on site, and there are a couple of selected contractors that come in and take the material on an as-needed basis. The maximum number of truckloads on any given day would probably be about 15 truckloads. I can tell you that the couple of times that I was on the site, one time to just familiarize myself with the site, and secondly to dig some test holes, there was no activity at all going on the site. So, as I said, it's sort of on an on-needed basis. We did not have any monitoring wells, but essentially the bulk of the excavation, you've got this sort of flattened area in the south central portion of the site. Those grades are pretty much what the final grades would be. So there will be some excavation of the cut slope to the north, some further excavation of the cut slope to the south to take the material out that we are proposing. The test holes that we excavated were about anywhere from 15 to 16 feet deep. We did encounter groundwater at elevation 272 to 275. The final grades in that area, the lowest grade in that area is 286. So we're about 11 feet above the lowest proposed elevation and up to 14 to 16 feet above the water table at the highest elevation. The groundwater that we did encounter in those test holes really does kind of correspond with the level of the Moosup River, being that it is a very well-drained, excessively drained sandy gravel strata here. The water table is substantially flat as you go away from the river. There is no fuel storage on site. And what we also are showing here, the limits of the excavation, we are along the portion of the Moosup River. We are providing a 200-foot riparian buffer to allow for the any wildlife that might come through that area. We also are staying at least 100 feet away from any of the wetland limits itself. The heavy dotted line that you see on the plan is the 100-year flood elevation, which is approximately 282. And there were a couple of comments that Ryan brought to our attention, and we covered most of it with notes on the plan. Number one, there will be no storage of equipment within 100 feet of any property boundary. Number two, regrading and planting of the northern slope shall be conducted during the fall growing season of 2024, and that is August 15th to October 15th. That is this slope here, the darker slope, where we're going to regrade it to 2 to 1, where it's nearly vertical at this point. Number three, restoration of current or proposed future excavation areas shall be provided within 60 days of achieving final grades. And number four, there are no apparent wells within 450 feet of the active or proposed excavation activities. The only well that's somewhere near the site is Mr. Stravopoulos' well itself, which is right off of North Sterling Road, adjacent to the site entrance. The equipment that remains on site most of the time is a Hyundai 160 excavator, John Deere 544 loader, and a Hyundai 760 loader. There are no permanent trucks on the site. As I said, the trucks that come to the site, they'll come up, utilize the equipment that's there to load up their trucks, and then transport it off the site. There is also no processing on the site. Everything that is taken off the site is taken out of the ground, loaded into a truck, and taken off the site.
Question. So it says that 15.9 acres have either been excavated or proposed to be excavated. So how much is open right now?
Right now, we've got there's about 9 acres open in this particular area here. And that is an area, as we're showing here, to get these final grades. And what that is, it's open area, and there are stockpiles of topsoil there. There are little areas where material has been excavated out. So one of the first things they got to do is really just kind of work their way to the south and restore that, because we do say that on our plans on sheet 2 that no more than 5 acres at any given time should be.
You're getting where I'm getting.
Yes,
Right.
it
So
should be.
is there any phasing proposed on the plan where there would be a particular area opened and reopened, replaned within any kind of time frame?
Well, like I said, this particular slope correction we're proposing to be done this year during the fall of 2024. That's the easiest one to handle at this point because we've got the topsoil on site, and obviously there are only certain times of the year when you can do these things. We do specify a particular seed mix that's good for these nice sandy soil conditions. They can kind of thrive in these well-drained soils. And As these areas are utilized and excavated, for instance, we get this large stockpile of topsoil right here. When this slope, this northern slope is excavated and stabilized, this topsoil is spread on that slope and spread in this area, then this northern area here will be corrected and everything can be seeded and topsoil is seeded at that point. This area here, sort of like centrally located on the site, there is this active face. Well, there are active faces really on both sides here. So what will have to happen before this area here is sort of a north-central area is restored, is that face would have to be excavated out to achieve these final grades. And like I said, it's kind of a supply and demand things. And the way that this has been excavated over the years, there really isn't a lot of rhyme or reason to it. I think a lot of the contractors that were coming in here were sort of picking and choosing the areas that they were selecting the material they wanted to use at the time. So it's my thought that everything is sort of going to work from the north to the south, because this area and the furthest south portion of the site is the area that still needs to be cleared. That's wide open right now. I mean, that's vegetated right now, and these slopes are all intact. So this approximately 1.5 to 2 acre area will have to be cleared in order to access that material, but none of that will be cleared until they get the material in the north central portion of the site is exhausted.
So just for board members' reference, on page 2 under excavation notes, general notes, item 3 indicates the maximum disturbed area, not yet stabilized with topsoil, seed, and mulch, at any time shall be limited to 5 acres. So if there are 9 acres open right now.
Correct.
So are they closing out 4, working on 5? What is the status of the stabilization?
The stabilization would have to be this fall. As I said, we'll keep this 5 acres or so open at the most, and then this slope correction in this area, sort of north central located, will be restored this fall to bring them into compliance.
Okay. And then before they open the next 5, they would stabilize and close out that
Correct.
remaining 5.
Yeah, there's really no reason to go south at this point, because there is a good portion of material right in this sort of central area that they're working off of. And they can work that slope to the north without having to go south and clear more area and clear more land.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Oh.
Go ahead.
If there's any comments or questions from anybody in the audience, this is your opportunity. Seeing none, I'll go to Bart.
Yeah, I have 2 quick questions. You may not be able to answer one, but this commission's seen a lot of requests for permit renewals, and I'm troubled by the fact that a lot of these permits start at 7 a.m. on Saturday. I'm told very frequently these are small operations, that it doesn't bother the neighbors, it's been this way, but do you know the justification why such an early start on a Saturday is so critical? I'm trying to understand as a collective why everyone wants to, the amount of yardage you want to remove, 220,000 yards. Is there an estimate for when that would actually be removed? Is this 5 years? Is this 10 years? It seems like this is a very slow-moving pit.
It is a slow-moving pit. It's like I said, it's hard to say only because there are just a couple of contractors that work here, and they take the material out of there on an on-demand basis. So it's not the type of operation where you've got I'm going to use a name, but not that I'm pointing fingers, something like Rawson Materials, for instance.
Sure.
Right, where they've got these large processing areas, and they've got buyers from all over the place, and they know what their demand is, and that a certain amount of material can be excavated on a daily or monthly, yearly basis that they know is going to be out there. Here, there are 2 or 3, maybe a few more, a handful of contractors that come in and take material as they need it, depending upon the project that they're working on.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
And Ryan, just for clarification, although previous hours of operation were approved as Monday to Friday, 7 to 7, Saturday, 7 to noon, and the applicant's not requesting any changes, the commission could have a change in hours because this is a renewal if the board sees so fit as to modify hours of operation to be more in line with more recently approved, we can do that. We have that just distinction. I think, as you said, the applicant asks for maximum allowed, so.
And we, obviously, it's your jurisdiction to do that if you'd like, and your obligation to protect the property owners adjacent to the site.
So like the commission know, this is a pretty remote area. You travel North Swan Road, and you do not even know the pit exists because it drops out off the road. I don't think any neighbors can actually hear work going on there. I could be wrong,
But I would also say it doesn't limit, so this operation, just because it's limited right now, they could bring in another vendor, and that other vendor could, you know, maximize the hours and maximize the loadage.
well, there's only 15 loads allowed per day. So it's a relatively small operation.
Brian, I appreciate that. I think my question, and I'm just trying to form in my own mind as a commissioner a picture of what goes on Saturday morning. We have large operation pits here, and I understand there's a tempo. Everyone seems very, I want the 7 to 12, no matter whether I'm doing it once a year or 40 times a year. They very much want that maximum hours. And I can respect that, but I'm not allowed to start my lawnmower before 8 o'clock because it bothers my two neighbors. So I'm just trying to gauge what the, you know, if it's where it is, what's the reason? Is there a really strong rationale? Because I just want to make sure when we look at these things, are we understand, are we moving things forward with the direction this board's had as related to the gravel operation revisions? That was my point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the public? Any other comments or questions from board members? Comments or questions from staff? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by June, second by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public hearing is closed. Moving on to the regular meeting, I'll call the meeting to order. Additions or corrections to the agenda, we do have a few. So, yep, items to add to the agenda. Following items added under new business. Item B, 24-6 SPL of Plainfield Garages and Storage, requesting site plan approval. Item C, 24-11 SP of Town of Plainfield, requesting a special permit. Item D, 24-12 SP of Justin Parlay-Piano, requesting a special permit. Item E, 24-6TA of B. Paul Kaplan Esquire, requesting a text amendment to Section 13 sign regulations. And the following item to be added under Other, item B, review of commission member trainings. Do I have a motion to put that on the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Bart, second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, those are added. Citizen participation. This is opportunity to address the board on an item that is not a pending application.
Sean Peterson, High Meadow Drive. I just want to discuss with you or mention to you, I'm getting a lot of complaints from my neighbors about the U-line project starting at 6 a.m. in the morning. So this falls in line with what you were saying with the operations for gravel. I understand U-line is an industrial zone, but we got to start being considerate. My neighbors are upset. They're having trouble sleeping. So please keep that in mind next time when you're doing things.
Brian, what are the parameters for industrial zone for hours of operation?
So this is a site plan approval. There actually are no hours of operation. It's not a special permit. It's going to be a condition. We can have a conversation with the site contractor to see if they will start slightly later.
If you would, please. Thank
It's
you.
the drilling that's driving everybody nuts. You hear this constant groan.
And I would strongly suggest that neighbors call the zoning office.
I've already told them.
Okay, 860-230-3030, and make sure that anything gets documented, so if it's repetitive, etc., so we can balance that. Thank you. Unfinished old business, item A, 24-2 SPL of Ruben Cardona, requesting site plan review to install 4 level 2 pole-mounted EV chargers on property located at 26-40 Railroad Ave. Assessor's map 2P, block 19, lot 10, commercial 2 zoning district. Has there been any update on this one, Ryan?
No, there has not. So
All right, so we're at the end of the timeline, correct?
We do not have revised site plans. The site plans that are provided are not accurate enough for us to tell exactly where these will be mounted, if they're going to be on the property line, close to the property line, over the property line. So I recommend denial at this point.
Okay. Board members have any items for consideration or discussion?
Where is this located?
This would be the Flex Plaza.
Is it in flex parking?
Yes, where they're proposing it is along the fence line, where the apartment house is in the bank, the bank. But there's not enough detail to tell exactly where they'll be running it. In addition, it looks like they're going to be running it in the landscaped area, which means you have to work out all the landscaping. There's no proposal to put in new landscaping, so
Well, in that case, I would move that we reject this application on the grounds it is incomplete, we lack sufficient site plan, and because it has been on the agenda now for 2 consecutive months, I would further stipulate that no refund be issued should the applicant request it based on the rejection.
Okay, so I have a motion by Bart to deny the application due to incomplete standing.
I'll second that.
I have a second by June. So just to verify, if you vote yes, you are voting to deny. If you vote no, you are voting not to deny. So all those in favor of denial? Aye. Any opposed to denial? Any abstentions? Application is denied unanimously for the record. Item B, 24-3 SPL of Alan Carpenter PE. This is for the boarding house that was continued, so I'll entertain a motion to continue that.
So moved. I recommend continuation to the July 9th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second that.
I have a continuation by Bart and a second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Application is continued. Item C, 24-3TA, Town of Plainfield requesting modifications to Section 14, non-conforming buildings, lots, uses, abandonment, to allow for the replacement and modernization of legally conforming billboards to advertise to 395 to modern standards. Items for discussion. So I'll start, just being one of the more senior members of the board. When we look at non-conforming uses, the intention usually with a non-conforming use is to make it less conforming. So I have a concern that the proposed text makes it more non-conforming. So when we're looking at text, we want to be consistent with the intent of non-conforming, right? So because this is an amendment to a non-conforming section of the regulation, I have that concern that the text is making it more non-conforming instead of less non-conforming. Also, when we think about the plan of conservation and development, in the plan it talks about maintaining a semi-rural landscape. So I also would be concerned that taking a smaller billboard and expanding that would impact the semi-rural landscape of the town. So those are two things that popped out to me when I was reviewing the language and comparing to the current regulations. So those are two items for discussion that I would ask the board to consider.
Can we continue?
We do not have to make a decision tonight. The public hearing is closed, which means no additional information can be considered or added to the record. But we could continue decision to next month. So if board members want to take the information, review the regulations, the plan of conservation and development, we can absolutely choose to continue the decision portion to next month. But just a reminder that the public hearing is closed, so no new additional information could be presented or added.
What are the regulations on billboards now?
So currently billboards are not allowed in the town of Plainfield. And the largest, looking at the highway commercial regulations, the signs in the highway commercial regulations are limited to 50 feet tall, which is consistent, but 150 square feet. So currently billboards are not allowed.
They're not?
So they're correct.
New ones?
Correct. So the billboards you see around town are grandfathered, they're non-conforming.
Do they predate the 2007 changes to the
Correct.
signage rules? Okay.
Correct.
I was going to ask on clarification.
Yep. So when we're looking at text amendments, we want to think about the entire text and consistency with regulations. So in the highway commercial zone, we have signs that can be 50 feet high because it's advertising to the highway, but the square footage of them are limited to 150 square feet because they are not billboards. They are highway commercial signs because billboards are currently not allowed. So this would be allowing a non-conforming use to expand into another non-conforming use.
Chair, my question would be is, if you have concerns with the language, are we allowed to, if we were to continue, I want to seek either town legal counsel or at least some direction as to how we can make the language correct, because I'm worried about enforcement. If you're worried about the way non-conform actually means out of bounds, I'm worried about if we pass it, then other things that we don't anticipate coming to the fold.
Well, and like I said, consistency is key,
Right.
right? So the other thing to consider is how much modification would it take to make the language? And my root point is that the language makes a non-conforming use more non-conforming.
Right.
So I'm not sure that utilization of a non-conforming text is appropriate or something that the commission would want to do.
Based on that, would the text amendment actually be something petitioning the signage section to allow conforming signage under the act?
So if you notice, there was a new application submitted.
I did.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
which, we haven't looked at yet, but, so there could be a text amendment to another part of the regulation. So for tonight's discussion, because we're only talking about the non-conforming section of the regulation.
Right.
John, you had a comment? 150 square feet is the max square footage for the highway commercial zone. So 14 by 48 would be 600 something.
Yeah, give or take.
Which exceeds the size of billboard that's there.
Yes. We don't have exact dimensions on the current billboard, but I think we all agree that the proposed sign is bigger than the current.
Correct. And that sign was put there originally to advertise for the industrial park.
Correct.
And then I believe the industrial park is at this point full of.
Correct. Yes. And they did have a off-site permit with the state, so they could have advertised other things on that sign, is my understanding, but the intent of that sign was for the industrial park.
Is this amendment in the wrong section though?
So it was written to modify the non-conforming text.
Right.
So that's what we have to review.
Okay.
So if someone, as we have another application asking to amend the sign section of the regulations, this text amendment is requesting to modify the non-conforming section of the regulations.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't recall there being any other signs of this nature in the vicinity.
I believe this is the one and only billboard on 395. Is that correct, Ryan?
All I found, I did drive it, I did look at the aerial photos, I did not see any others, can't confirm there are any in the woods.
Gotcha. Understood. So to the best of our knowledge, this is the only non-conforming billboard on 395 at this time. Unless it's hidden in the woods.
That belongs
Yeah,
to,
so just within
yeah,
town
that's
limits.
Killenly, right?
So, once again, we do not have to act on this tonight. If board members want more time to read and consider, we can certainly, I'll entertain a motion to continue.
I'd like to make a motion to continue.
Sure. I have a motion by June to continue.
I'll second it.
I have a second by Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, application is continued to the July meeting. Item D, 24-5, SPL Peter Dish requesting a site plan review for towing, recovery business, and storage container sales display on property located at 1115 Main Street, Assessors Map 2M, Block 98, Lot 3, C2 zoning district. And do we have an applicant presenting tonight? I'm going to say nope. Okay. So no applicant, no site plan, so I'll entertain a motion to continue.
I'll make that motion to continue.
I have a motion by June to continue and a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, application is continued. Item E, 24-10SP, Fred Stavropoulos requesting special permit for construction of an earth excavation on property located at 195 North Sterling Road, Assessors Map 37, Block 113, Lot 3, RA 60 zoning district. Do we have any items for discussion?
Basically, this isn't changing at all, right?
Correct. No changes were proposed.
Well, then, I'll make a motion to approve it, special permit.
Okay. Were there any conditions? Let me just skim real fast.
Yeah, there is a condition, Mylars and special permit to be recorded within 60 days of approval from the zoning office.
Okay. Do you want to amend your
Yeah, Mylars and what was it?
Special permit.
Special permit, be submitted, make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion by June to approve with that condition.
Second.
I have a second by Bart. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, application is approved. Moving on to new business. Item A, 24-1SA of Albert and Susan Monty applying for a 2-lot re-subdivision of 257 Moosup Pond Road, Assessors Map 22, Block 88, Lot 20, RA 60 zoning district.
So this is a special permit.
Okay.
It will require a public hearing. It is also recorded in the wetlands, which I expect they will consider this to be outside of their jurisdiction next week.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to schedule the public hearing in July.
So moved.
I have a motion by John and a second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item B, 24-6 SPL of Plainfield Garages and Storage requesting site plan approval for a 10,450 square foot self-storage facility on property located at 750 Norwich Road, Assessors Map 17, Block 36A, Lot 15, C2 zoning district.
And because the structure exceeds 10,000
It
square feet.
requires a public hearing as well. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to schedule the public hearing.
All right, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by June and a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Item
Madam Chair,
C.
point of order.
Oh, yes.
I would like that the fire marshal and town engineer have their reports to us by the July 9th meeting so we can hear it. I want to make sure that the applicants have applicant time to respond, and I'd like that information on my hands before we have the hearing on the 9th.
Okay. So Ryan, to make sure we have all necessary information before review, so before the day of the public hearing.
Try to get that out tomorrow.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. Item C, thank you, Bart. 24-11SP of Town of Plainfield requesting special permits to add a 12 by 24 shed and relocate an existing 12 by 24 shed at 8 Community Ave, Assessors Map 2P, Block 19A, Lot 6, RA 19 zoning district. This also requires a public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
So move for the 9th or 2nd, depending on your acceptance of June's motion.
All right, so I have a motion by June and a second by Bart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, schedule the public hearing. Item D, 24-12SP of Justin Parlapiano requesting a special permit to construct a 28 by 42 building for water treatment at a Connecticut water facility located at 0 Park Ave, Assessors Map 4P, Block 18C, Lot 29A, RA 60 zoning district, and this also requires a public hearing.
I'll make that motion, July 9th, public hearing.
I have a motion by June.
Second.
Second by Bart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is scheduled for July. Item E, 24-6TA of B. Paul Kaplan Esquire, requesting a text amendment to Section 13 sign regulations to allow for the construction of new billboards along Interstate 395 by special permit. This also requires a public hearing.
So move for July the 9th.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bart to schedule July 9th, second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public hearing is scheduled. Review and act on the minutes from the May 14th meeting. Were there any modifications or changes to the minutes?
With some misspelling of Brian Gray throughout
The document?
throughout the document, there's a misspelling of it. And John Meyer was the absent member of that, not Frank Miller.
One That's true.
Yeah,
That's right, you did,
that
yeah.
was a
Okay,
correction from that.
all right, so under,
Anytime it said Frank Mills.
all right, so members present, Frank was present.
Right.
John was absent, so I appointed Dan for Frank, so that was fine. Oh, no, it should have been for John.
Yeah.
All right, so under determination of quorum, it should have been for John Meyer. Okay.
I'd like to note that I am absolutely pleased with the minutes overall. I would like the
Absolutely.
secretary to please take that to heart, that I really appreciate the level of
Yes.
effort put into these.
I said the same thing before, that they're excellent, it's easy to read, right away,
Absolutely.
all the motions are there.
If we're just doing names, we are doing good.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, we just.
So we just need to strike the E off the end of Ryan's name. So it's Ryan Bray, not Razi.
Bronze.
Razi.
Well, we pronounced it correctly anyway.
Ray is right, it's right.
It is.
Okay, all right. Well, don't say nobody, I got you.
You
All
know
right.
one of the-
With those corrections, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, I have a motion by June to approve as noted for correction, a second by Bart, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on to correspondence.
Any correspondence?
So we did receive additional correspondence or no?
We did not.
Did not, okay, very good. Report from zoning enforcement.
I sent out my report, and I have a few things to add. 326 Norwich Road was sent to the town attorney for legal action, and phase 1 of Root Road has been restored.
Can I ask a point of clarification?
Sure.
I'm trying to tie two things together. The first item in your form reference, 24-4 Zulu Whiskey Charlie, is that going to be resolved by 24/5 SPL on our agenda for next month? Are those fundamentally tied?
They are tied. I sent out the violation. The application was to get it compliance.
Okay. And the compliance is the approval of the permit for that business minus the shipping containers, correct?
Right.
Okay, so that, one will resolve the other pending the July meeting. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for zoning enforcement? All right, report from planning.
I do have a report tonight.
Okay.
And we're not moving forward on the Dow Road Bridge, correct?
Postpone.
And it appears as though it will be postponed until next year. Army Corps is causing some problems. They were looking for additional information, looking to possibly make changes to the structure. But I think we'll get it resolved, but unfortunately, we're missing the construction window this year.
Are there any steps we need to take in the fall to preclude this from happening again? Are there any documents or permits that this commission is going to have to approve?
No, and as far as the procedure goes, this was a curveball that was thrown at us by Army Corps.
Okay.
They had a change of staff over there, and this came out of left field. We weren't anticipating it.
I wasn't looking for a name or anything. I simply want to understand if we've missed the building season for this year, I want to make sure that it's on our agenda for the fall, that we make sure going into January we're first in the queue. I think we put a lot of time in. I want to see this done.
Yeah, no, the commissions are done for now.
Okay.
There's nothing more they have to do. It's simply a matter of permitting through the federal system.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, moving on to other, item A, discussion regarding gravel operations. So staff will be drafting language for us to review. That includes the buffer, the hours of operation, and the limitation on amount of gravel when it's not an established, when it's pulling from residential. So for next month, Brian, we'll have a draft. Thank you.
Hopefully for your mid-month review.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Item B is the commission training. So there was a Connecticut Public Act passed that requires all members of the Planning and Zoning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals to complete a minimum 4 hours of OPM-approved training every other year. Every 2 years, I take the Connecticut Bar Association, and that covers all the training. So I highly recommend it. It'll be coming out in March of '25. Are there any pending trainings right now, Ryan, that you can share with members?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
So there's one ongoing right now. I believe it was a 4 session, but it was on Thursday in the afternoon,
Oh, yeah.
mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody signed up for it.
Okay. Now, when it says OPM approved training, so if a member found a training, would they be able to submit it for review to see if it was?
Yeah, so OPM states that there are other training seminars that could qualify. You somehow have to ask them and see if they'll approve it. Who you have to contact, I have no idea.
Okay. But we could do that. If a
Yes.
member found something or holds a certification or,
Yeah, so if a member finds something, they can call me and I can call,
That would be great.
process and see if
What
it's
if it was
approved.
put on by a state agency, as with the regulatory agency?
Well, typically that all falls under OPM's classes. So OPM was directed with actually creating classes for the commission members.
Okay. Thank you.
okay. Anything else we need to discuss about training, Ryan? Or does that cover it?
No, but what you have to do is review this and make sure that everybody's in agreement, vote to approve it, and then we'll pass it on to the board of selectmen.
Okay. Did anyone have any notes for modification, question, addendum to the memo?
I move we approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Bart to approve as presented.
I'll second
A
that.
second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, memo, please submit for the record. All right, seeing no other items, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
A motion by June and a second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.